color scheme generator, and I'll talk more about the hex value and colors in the art class. Somebody remind me. You can choose a monochromatic scheme. In simple words, monochromatic is single chroma, single color. You take any color from the spectrum. The rest of the shades are generated by mixing that color with black or white. Monochrome. I actually remember doing this exercise in my school days. All of these actually. Complementary is pretty much you take any color on the color wheel, you take the opposite side of it, and you mix it with grays. You make it less saturated or more saturated, pastel like or more saturated, and you make it dark or light. Complementary. Use opposite sides of the colors. I'll go back to the more recent one, which is Color Scheme Designer 3. The same things are there. You can see complement, opposite sides, triad. Triad basically says take any one color. Now don't take the opposite, but take the neighbors of the opposite color. And you can see visual representation is there. It shows you what the color scheme means. You play with it. You can make adjustments to this thing. You can go to adjust scheme, reduce the saturation, increase the darkness, and so on. Alright. Now this is what it does for you. There is a button here that says light page example. It actually shows you what a web page would look like if you used this color scheme and you chose to have a white background. Viking site, you want a black background, it will even do that for you. Dark page example. There you go. Okay. Now colors can be represented as RGBA. They can also be represented as hex values. Here it gives you the color list, and we will use this. Okay. I actually might adjust my scheme a bit. I'll adjust my scheme to blues and yellows. Ocean-faring people, Vikings, and that's my color list. Okay, I'm going to use this. This is my color list. Now let me go back to my Dreamweaver. I got site 1, and I have a basic plan. That's my basic plan. I've got a basic color scheme in mind, and I also sat and made some kind of an image. If I go to web 1, site 1, images, so I've got a basic plan, basic outline, and I've made a banner. And again, web 1, after art 1, we'll do some Photoshop. I'll share with you how I did this. It's just a series of steps, and once you learn it, it's all good. So two things somebody has to remind me on doing the art class. One is the color schemes, and to explain the numbers, the hexadecimal numbers, and the second thing is we'll do something like this. But today you can just use it and make your own in the art class. Is that cool? Yeah. So let me start coding up my grid. So this is my plan. I need to code it. That's the main goal for today. Now the good thing is when you draw a box, every box is a divider. Let me draw the outer one first. So inside my body, I make a div tag. And there are many more tags now. You can have a tag like menu, you can have a tag like navigation, you can have a tag like header under HTML5. And you can do it that way, and you can change the CSS. I'm just doing it the traditional way because it helps me to think about my boxes. So I've got a div tag, and it's called ID. The reason I'm going to use ID is because there's only one container, and most div tags I keep them unique. Okay, so that's my container or box or whatever, parent box or whatever. It's just my container. Now you don't see anything on the web page. So if I was to save this and if I was to actually go here, it doesn't show me anything. Now what I like to do is, inside my head, I am going to style it straight away. I'm going to style it straight away. And if I go and try and find out it's 950 by 200. Okay, so I'm going to, I can go bigger than 950, I can. So I'm going to first go hash container. I'm going to style it. So I'm going to put a style for my container. Few of the things I can do with it is width, and I'll just go about 1000 pixels. I will choose a background color, and what I might do is I'll show you, we can change it anyway. I can choose one of these colors from here. I'll just choose this one, 001132, background color hexadecimal 001132, and you can see I've got a nice width there to my container. I will remove the height, but just to show you what's happening, height 600 pixels, and let me see what has happened here to my Chrome site 1. So that's my box. It has taken the style, the width, the height, the background color from here. Why is this come up? Okay, so it's taken up the width, the height, and the style. I have a general idea of what I'm doing, so I'm going to just close this one. Now you can see it is to the left. Let me put a color in it. Just let's play with styles. Hash FFF is white. You can just say white in case of white. What that does is it allows me to type some text, sample text, and it gives me the sample text as white. Okay. There are a few more things I want to show you in these styles. How do I center this box, the entire box? The way to center this entire box is margin left auto, margin right auto. If I save it, you can see, but that's for the box. Now that can only be applied to block level elements, elements that are defined as block level elements, and like for example text and images, they sit next to each other inline by default, but div tags are block level elements. They can have a border, they can have margins, they can have alignment. Now you can see how this sample text is sticking to the border. My sample text is sticking right to the border, top and left. I can say I want a padding of 20 pixels. What that will do is it pushes it away. See that? It gives a padding all around. And if I was to right click and inspect this element, right click and inspect it in the browser, you see this? It says my container has now become 1040 and 640. You know why? Because the padding has stretched my 900. It is added to my 900. So I had 1000 width, right? Now it says 1040. Now it says 1040, although I said 1000. Why? It added 20 and 20. You see the padding? It's added the padding. Does that make sense? There are millions of properties. I'm just introducing you to the few good ones. Rest we'll look up. Now, there are some short notations for CSS, and it goes like this. Instead of saying margin left, margin top, margin right, you can do this, margin. And you can put 4 values. By default, the first value is the top value, second value is east, right value, third value is south, fourth value is west. Okay, clockwise. So I can say margin top, I don't care. Right, I want to be auto. And if I just leave 2, it will automatically repeat 0 and auto for the next 2. So this 0 and auto is the same as 0 auto, 0 auto. Okay? 0 and auto is the same as 0 auto, 0 auto. Now I can also do margin. So I can say padding, of course I want. I'll make it about 10 pixels. Now if I really wanted it to be just 1000, what I should do is I should make this 980 because I'm getting 20 from the padding. Again, padding, same deal. If I say 10, it will apply padding left, padding right, padding top, padding bottom. But if I don't want bottom, I can go 10 pixels, 20 pixels, 30 pixels, 40 pixels. This is top, right, bottom, left. So you can have 4 values again for padding. But if all 4 are going to be same, you just have 1. So that's it. Now you see the container is actually sitting inside the body. I can have a background image, and just to show you, I can have a background image. I can say browse, it will give me a URL tag. Say URL, go to the folder images, pick up banner. If I come here, I need a semicolon there. Yeah, so you see that's my background image. Now bear in mind the background image overrides the background color. And because the container is sitting on top of the body, if I set something in the body, so let's say I'll just take a background color tag and I just say that's RGB, so 0 to 9 and A, B, C, D, E, F, those are the hexadecimal values. Okay, 0 to 9, A, B, C, D, F, that's the hexadecimal system. So if I just say FF0000, or if that's too much for you, just say red. But you can see the point I'm trying to make is there's a background color of the body, background image sits on top of background color. Then if the container is sitting on top of the body, then the container color overrides that. Now if I actually choose a font, I'm going to comment this out. I might actually change the background color of the whole page to blue. And I don't need this background image, I'm going to comment it out. But that, if I leave the sample file, you will know that's the syntax for it. So I've got a background color. I'm just going to put my font here, and what happens is if I say font family, because it's I either go Georgia or Trebuchet, a very clean sans serif font, no serifs like Times New Roman. So for example here, you see these tiny things at the end of the T, they are the serifs, but in neat clean fonts, sans serif, sans means without. So you have fonts without serifs. Apple 0. So I'm just going to choose a font, probably Georgia. Does it like Georgia? Does it give me Cambria? Yeah, there's a serif family. I'll take that. So the advantage of Dreamweaver is you get that code assist, So I don't have to remember this. If I press colon, I'll get that. I go for a serif font. Now if I go font size, now what I usually do is I go about 62%. And this is a very old way of doing things. But if you do 62%, then if you put something as 1.2 ems, it becomes 12 pixels. If you do 1.4 ems, it becomes 14 pixels. So you have a fair idea of what's going on. Or you can just make it 100% and then adjust everything inside. Now because you're setting something in the body, and this is a cascading style sheet, so whatever is sitting in the body inherits that style. Okay, so if I was to not give a background here, I'll just save this, so you can see everything inherits it. So now my sample text has gone small because of my 62%, and then in my container I can say 1.2 M. Is it M's? 1.8. Okay, let me try 100% and yeah, you can keep it 100 and then make all your adjustments with 1.2. But yeah, give a percentage value to the parent and a M value to the containers. So we'll keep this as a standard paragraph text, and whenever we need a heading, we'll go more M's and we'll make it bold, and all of those styles are there. Okay. Now I can't see my container, so I'm going to give it a border for now. Border 1 pixel solid. Now border has got a lot of properties. Okay. So if you go border, so you have border bottom, border color, but I use a lot of short notations, and especially for border, because I'm just using it to check where my border is. So I'm just going to say border 1 pixel white and solid. So there, that's my border. I'm going to uncomment my height. So slash star and star slash is a comment. I haven't done much yet, have I? So I've just played and got it in the center. Let's start doing something with it. Now if you remember my diagram, inside my container I need something for the banner. So let's come here. I don't need sample text. I need another div tag. See the div, this is my container, starts here, ends here. Inside here I'm going to make another div, and this div is id equals banner. I can write something in it and I can put a background image, or I can just insert an image here, and I can say image source src source is equal to banner. So this is a foreground image, not a background image, and you must give it an alt tag. You must give it a width and a height. Now I do know that the width of this is, it says 950, it's picked it up, and if I do the height, it should pick up 200. I'm going to give an alt tag to it. Alt is an alternative text. If the picture goes missing, the alternative text will come here, and if people can't see that image, they will hear it. Vikings banner. There. I just got a Vikings banner there. Okay. Now, ideally, when I make my banners, I use a bit of a gradient which actually matches the background color, so that I would actually match this exactly to this, and I can do that by going into Photoshop and picking up that color. But I'm happy with this. This is all right. I'll survive with this. Now there's a bit of padding in that, and that's why you see that extra bit of blue there. But I've got that. Now again, inside my container, I need two boxes, one to the left, one to the right. And I'll do those two boxes and stop, okay? I won't do the four boxes inside the right. There is a way to indent this somewhere. Indent code, okay. So I just want to know this div banner is inside container. I need two more divs, and this will give me an opportunity to show you the floats. So I'm going to say div ID is equal to content, left content, L content, and slash div. I'm just going to put something here, left content inside this division. And then I'm going to have right content. So I've got these two boxes, you can see, right? Now I wanted one on the left side, one on the right side, and in the right one I was going to have four smaller boxes. So let me quickly do this. So inside my style, you see this bracket belongs to container. So be very careful. Every style has got a name. It's got a starting bracket, and we'll see a lot of this in JavaScript. Starts here. Whenever you put a semicolon, it means there is one more property to follow. So if I don't put a semicolon here, it will ignore the next one. You see the color changing? See the color changing. If I remove this semicolon, then this color changes here. And if I put the semicolon back, the color comes back. So on the last property, if there is not a next property, I don't need a semicolon. But I just, in order to remember that I need a semicolon, I always put a semicolon after every property. So I've got container starting here, ending here. Let me do two more. Again, the IDs means hash, left content. Now left content, I'm going to give it a width. And I will say, I can, because I know I'm playing with pixels, I can play with pixels, but just to show you percentage, I'll give this about 60% width. I want it to be on the left, so I'm going to say float left. Okay, float left. And I'll give it a border so I can see where it is. Border 1 pixel yellow solid, so I can just see where it is. Left content, float left. Yeah, so you can see the border, and you can see how the right content is now right automatically. I'm going to make a copy of this. It's right content. I'm going to make this 30. Now you see 60 plus 30 is only 90. But if I make it exactly, for now it might work. For now it might work. No, you know why? 60 plus 40 is 100. And then I have 2 extra pixels for this box, 2 extra pixels for that box. That pushes it down. So what I do is I normally go 30, and that 10% extra gives me for pixels, gives me for padding. Now, of course, you don't want the content here to be very. I might go 1% here, 1% padding, or 5%. I'll just probably go 10 pixels. Let's see if it works. So 10 pixels. And it does the job. Okay, and it does the job. So I've got these two contents here. Now I've removed the height from top, but I can say something like overflow auto, and what that does is, if I say something like overflow auto, actually will sort of increase the height to whatever it is. So sensitive overflow auto, bit geeky, but yeah, overflow will sort of check where it is flowing and then adjust the height accordingly. Okay, I'll stop this video here, and I have an